Jai Baba. Beloved Avatar Meher Baba and my dear sisters and brothers, I bow down to our beloved, and I also bow down to all of you. And also I bow down to beloved Baba, who is enshrined in the heart of each one of you. For me it is a great privilege and an honor to be here with you and share the divine glory of our ancient one. And I am really grateful to you, and I must tell Steve that whatever he has said, I am not really worthy of all the good words because I don't deserve it. Whatever little is there in me, which you may find, it is all due to Baba and his grace and his help and encouragement. Because I am sure without that, without his will, nothing happens, not even a leaf will tremble without his wish. So today I thought that I shall share with you the story of my father and story of our family, including myself, and also share some of the music which was so dear to him and which was played to him when he was in the physical form in Guruprasad, in Meherabad, and in Meherazad and Pandharpur. So all these things are there, and I want to try and make an effort to compress all this material in a capsule so that it won't be hard for you to digest. And of course, you're all feel free and relax. And if anybody is inclined to sleep, he or she is most welcome, provided you have brought your own mattress. And this theme of my talk is the Meher Lilamrut. It's a Sanskrit word meaning the nectar of the divine glory of the Lord. So let us share some of these drops of the nectar. And first of all, let me share the story of my father. He was born in the year 1904 in Ahmednagar in a very poor family, the family of a cobbler. And the parents were very poor, and he was born as the first child in the family, the first male child. He had a younger brother too, and the parents. And he was pursuing his education. Then the relationship with Baba, it precedes my father, because it was my grandfather actually who came in contact of Baba. Perhaps indirectly, because in the year 1923 or 22, this Baba was in Poona. After the Manzile Meme phase was finished, he moved to Poona, and he was living in a hut on Ferguson College Road, on a hill. And Adike Irani's mother, Gulmai, whom Baba described as his spiritual mother, went to meet him and have his darshan. So that was somewhere in the month of March. And when she went for darshan, she also took with her a present for Baba, which was a pair of leather sandals, which were stitched by a very renowned cobbler in Ahmednagar, and his name was Kanhoji, and he was my grandfather. So these sandals were taken to Baba, and after meeting Baba and exchanging pleasantries and having his darshan, Baba asked Gulmai that how many children she had, and she said that she had 4, and then she named them, and then she was worried about Adi Irani, Adi Senior. And she said that Baba Adi has grown up now, he has become a man and he is quite handsome, and I think that he needs to get married. And then Baba said, because he was speaking at that time, just remember that time frame. Oh, what is the need for Adi to get married? Then she said, why? Oh yes, Adi, see, during my partial avatar phase as the Emperor Shivaji, Adi was already there with me. And at that time, Adi was my wife. So when he had married with me already, there is no need for his marriage during this life. So though this was very convincing argument by the Lord, but I don't know how much Gulmai was convinced. But nevertheless, she obeyed Baba's order, and we had Adi Kirani, the lifetime secretary of Baba, totally dedicated. And while she was departing, then she presented these sandals to Baba. And Baba liked them so much that he started wearing them, and he wore them, and he wore them, and he wore them till they were worn out. And then he mended them, he got them mended, he got them patched, and went on wearing them. And that is the starting point of the contact of the family, Gadekar family, with Baba. And as I look at it, I think that it is the contact with Baba through the dust at Baba's feet. So this also kindly bear in mind, because that has a great significance, point of view of surrenders. It was in 1923 that my father Ramchandra, who was a school-going boy, he had his first darshan of Baba. And during that darshan, Baba asked him, what do you want? And he said, I want God realization. And hearing this from a teenage boy, Baba was a little amused. And he said that, what did you say? And he said, God realization. And Baba said that, do you know what is God realization? And he said that, I do not know what is God realization. Then how is it that these words have escaped your mouth? And then he said that, I do not know how they have escaped my mouth, but they did escape my mouth. So, Baba said that since you have asked for God realization, and since you do not know what is the meaning of God realization, I will explain to you what is God realization. And that was a wonderful discourse by the Ancient One on God realization, starting from the whim and the drug soul, and the evolution of the soul, and the evolution of the consciousness, and the entire process of evolution through different life forms, living as well as non-living, and ultimately the human form. And then after the human form, then the process of involution and the progress of the soul on this path and the different planes. And then he went on describing the details of each of the plane and the pitfalls and the dangers of third and fourth, and subsequently fifth and sixth and seventh, and that is the final destination. And at that point, one, while maintaining the consciousness of the gross body and the gross world, constantly sees Baba, sees God with his own eyes, and sees Baba or God everywhere around him and within him. And that was God realization. That's what Baba explained. And when he was departing at the end of that darshan during the day, it was afternoon, late afternoon, and the sun was probably setting. and it was time to depart. And then everybody took Baba Darshan, including Ramchandra, my father. And Baba again asked, "What is it that you want?" And then he realized that he had come to Baba with the intention of seeking Baba's advice for his stomach pain, which was bothering him for many months. And he was suffering a lot because of that. And then he recollected and he told Baba that, yes, this is what I came for. And Baba inquired very lovingly regarding that, and he said, you take this medicine, you take this diet, you take care of this health. And subsequently Ramchandra went back and he followed Baba's advice and orders, and then that stomach pain vanished for good. That's how he came in Baba's fold. Being a teenage boy and having the urge of education, he wanted to study further and go into the college and do further studies. But no money, because the family was so poor. So who paid Ramchandra's fees for the high school and college? It was the ancient one. And he graduated from the college. And it was around, now remember the first meeting 1923 when Baba was speaking. So he heard Baba speak, he heard Baba sing. Just imagine that atmosphere in Meherabad around that period. By the time he had graduated, it was after 10th of July 1925, and Baba started observing the silence. So when he returned after graduation, he got his first job as a teacher in Hazrat Babajan School. And perhaps the letter of his first job appointment was signed by Baba. So he was appointed as a teacher. And then he taught in the school. The whole family moved to Meherabad. And many resident Mandalis were staying there. It was quite a small township coming up. Just imagine, try to visualize that. And then there were some huts which were occupied by these families who would be the supporting staff for the resident. What do I mean by supporting staff? Like a barber, like a washerman, like a cobbler, and so on. So there were a few huts, and in one of these huts, family of Ramchandra, his parents and his. And as the custom was that time, he had already been married as a teenager. And there was tragedy in the family, and subsequently Baba closed the school also, and Ramchandra again went back to pursue further studies in education. And he did his graduate studies in education, and he got a job, and he became, and he was posted as an officer. And at the same time, around 1930 or so, he along with his friends, they were working. They were in Poona, and he used to tell those friends, some boys and a few girls, about Baba. So they decided to meet Baba, and one day they met Baba. And it was during that period that when these young boys were being introduced to Baba, when one of the girls was introduced to Baba, because this introduction was being done by Ramchandra, being the leader of that group. He was standing here and Baba was there, and the girl was taking darshan. And Baba looked at the girl and Baba looked at the Ramchandra. And Baba said that you two will make a good pair. So that was the indication. Indication of what? Indication of getting married. So they discussed Baba's indication, and they talked it over and over. And after some months, finally they decided to get married. But there was a lot of resistance from the family of the girl, that is my mother, because it was a wealthy family. And Ramchandra's family, my father's family, very poor. So poor that many times there were not enough clothes, perhaps, and they used to wear tattered clothes, so very bad. But educationally, very sound. Whereas the girl also had met with the tragedy, my mother. She was a child widow. She married at the age of 9 and became a widow at the age of 10. So just imagine the social conditions in India and the orthodox conditions. And they belong to the cobbler is an untouchable. So the family was untouchable. And in an untouchable family, to have a widow, what harrowing experience it would have been. But nevertheless, the girl was also very anxious to pursue studies, and she was continuing studies, and both of them eventually got married in the year 1930 in Ahmednagar, because they could not marry in Poona because of the opposition. So they eloped to Ahmednagar. They ran away from Poona for getting married, and they married in Poona. And who was present at the marriage ceremony? The Lord of the Lords. He came along with the Mandali, who rode the bus and came to this house along with the Parameshwar, and he blessed the newly married couple, and he distributed prasad with his own hands to the newly married couple as well as all those who had attended that marriage. What an event. So later on the life started, and they were married, and eventually the children were born, and he got a good job as a teacher, and then again he tried to get a scholarship from the government, and the government was kind and he got a scholarship to go abroad, and that was in the year 1938. And by that time we were born. My elder sister Nalini was there, and the person who is talking with you was also there. So around 1938, Ramchandra went abroad to study education in Scotland. And then when he was to go, the whole family, at that time, no jet aircraft, one has to travel by the boat. So the boat was docked in Bombay, and the family went to see off Ramchandra. And Ramchandra took them to the boat to show them the boat. And he showed him the boat, and he said that the cabins are more comfortable and for people to stay, and I want to show you one of the cabins. So the family entered that cabin, and in that cabin who was sitting? The Beyond God was sitting there. Baba was traveling by the same ship, which Ramchandra knew, but he was told by Baba not to divulge it to anybody, including the family. So we were taken aback. Of course, I was too small to realize that, but certainly my mother. And Baba had already told her that don't worry, if your husband is going abroad for studies, my nazar will be there always. I shall have my eyesight. So in the cabin, Baba again said to my mother that, do you remember I told you that my nazar will be on your husband? So I am going along with your husband. So that was the trip to Scotland. And after returning from Scotland, because he was highly educated and qualified from a foreign degree, he had a degree from University of Edinburgh, he was appointed as an officer. So he became an officer, a boss, and he joined the education department, and he became the educational officer of the entire district of Solapur. And around 1930, and throughout this he was totally dedicated to Baba by that time, and would visit Baba and have his darshan, both of them. Not only Baba but also Sadguru Upasana Maharaj. And Baba would be very happy with them as well as the young kids. Even during the pregnancy, my mother would go and have Baba darshan. So, 1939, a letter was received from the Lord. And what was that letter? The links, quote unquote, High Grounds, Bangalore, 5th December 1939. Dear Gadekar and family, as you are well aware, Baba will lay the foundation of the new center at Byramangala on Sunday, the 17th instant. Sir Mirza Ismail, the Diwan of Mysore, will be present besides about 400 to 500 selected officials and other residents of the state. Elaborate arrangements are made to make the function successful on this side. As an old member of our Mandali, you need no special invitation, and Baba will be pleased indeed if you could manage to come. With love and blessings as ever from dear Baba. You are signed by Chanji, and on the right hand side there is signature of the Lord himself, M.S. Irani. So this was the commandment from the Lord. So accordingly the family went to Bangalore, and then that was also a wonderful event. And days passed by like this. And wherever he would go, he would tell about Baba, he would talk about Baba. Though he was a very big officer and holding very high positions, he was so humble and so simple and so pure-hearted that many times people would take disadvantage of his nature and he would be cheated also. But he was totally immersed in Baba and always thinking. He would always leave the office in the morning around 9 o'clock, get dressed, and with the cap, with the hat and the walking stick and the briefcase which was full of Baba's literature, and go from door to door and distribute Baba's literature, including books which he would purchase from his own salary. And when that salary would not be sufficient, he would withdraw from his provident fund and purchase Baba's books and distribute those books free of cost which he had borrowed out of the provident fund. And such a simple person. So if anybody shown interest about Baba or wanted to know about Baba, on his own accord he was go to that place and meet with that person and tell about Baba. That person can be anything. He can be his subordinate officer, he can be a clerk in the office, he can be even his peon or even his messenger boy or a driver. He would sit along with him on the floor, though fully dressed, and enjoy telling about Baba. And subsequently India got independence and he was transferred to the Poona as he was given the charge of the development of the Department of Social Welfare. And in the year 1948, the family shifted to Poona. And then Baba's activities also, they gathered momentum. And there were young boys and girls who would to come daily, weekly meetings in the residence of the Gadekars. And there would be talks by Dr. Ghani, talks by Ramchandra Gadekar, talks by any Mandali who would visit Poona. And there will be music, lot of music. The music will be composed, many of the songs my father had composed himself. Then there would be other devotional music, and the young boys and girls started taking interest in music. And they were told about Baba and they were getting anxious to have Baba Darshan. And eventually they had Baba Darshan in the year 1949 when Baba was about to enter the new life. And this young group of singers, full of love for Baba and full of jest and full of energy, that blossomed into the Poona Bhajan Mandali. And the lead singer was Madhusudan. And other singers were Pratap and then Narendra and Subhadra and the one of the young boy is now sitting before you. In the year 1947, he asked Ramchandra to accompany him as a Mandali to Madras. And in Madras, Baba went, and there was a very big public darshan program where 30,000 people came. And Baba lived in the house of one of the devotees, Sampat Iyengar. And there Ramchandra told Baba that, Baba, I have composed a song on you. I have composed a bhajan. And he was so kind. Oh, is it? Then the ancient one said, let me hear. And Ramchandra sang this song. And it was in Marathi. And all the people were only language for Tamil, the other language. They never understood a word of that. But in spite of that, he was so compassionate. He heard that song and he liked it song. Time permitting, I may also sing that with you. The sahavas programs, 1951, 52 sahavas, 54 sahavas, 55 sahavas, 58 sahavas. All these are memorable events in which he participated very much. And he wanted to do more and more work of Baba and go from village to village and place to place. And he would always ask Baba, I'll go back and we'll have a little bit of rewind. In the year 1945, when Baba was at Meherabad, somebody asked Baba that what is the meaning? You always call your dear ones as Mandali. What is the Mandali? What is the meaning of Mandali? And what is the significance? What do they do? What does the Mandali do? So the Lord himself gave explanation. I quote, what are the members of my Mandali doing? They are neither doing japa or tapa, that is within bracket repeating God's name or penance, bracket complete, nor practicing any type of yoga. They have dedicated their lives to me and have been holding firmly to me for a long time. Even yogis cannot do a part of this. The important point in this connection is that they are not only helping me in my cause by obeying my instructions, but they are rendering personal service, private help to me. And I am sure before God realization, I wouldn't have been able to serve my master as they are serving me. What a profound statement. And the Lord went on to describe the qualities of each member of the Mandali. And for example, regarding Adi Senior, for instance, he has been with me for 25 years. He has dedicated his life to me. He is all-round service to me is unique. He lives with me even now and works for me. And what did he say? What did the omniscient one had to say about Gadekar? Gadekar is a person who comes to tears by talking of good qualities of others. I won't talk much about him. He is a smiling Buddha and a Bhola Bhakt, guileless devotee. He has passed through ups and downs, but he has never left me. Although he has all along been serving me, he told me yesterday that it's a great pity that he doesn't get opportunities to serve me. So time passed by, and around 1950s, after the 58 sahavas, he was not keeping good health. And in the 58 sahavas itself, he had expressed to Baba that I have done enough of government service. I want to retire, and I want to do full-time job of propagating your name. To which Baba had replied during the sahavas that wait till February, and then I will tell you what to do, and then you will come to stay with me forever. These are the words of Baba in the sahavas. So later on he fell sick, and he had glands in the armpits and also on the neck, and he was taken to the hospital, and they did the biopsy and sent the slide to Bombay Tata Memorial Cancer Research Center, and it was diagnosed as Hodgkin's disease, cancer of lymph glands. And it's a very painful type of cancer. And at that point of time, in the year 1958, the medical science was not that much evolved that you could have a cure for that. Now the situation is different. So he was suffering a lot and he has become very sick and frail. But constantly he was doing Baba's work. And in the meantime, Digambar had to come to Berkeley for higher studies. And he left India and came to Berkeley for studies. And subsequently, Baba asked him to come over to Meherabad. Baba asked both of them to come over to Meherabad. And they came to Meherazad. Actually, he did ask them to come to Meherazad, and they went to Meherazad. Gunatai, that is my mother and my father, who was very sick. And Baba received them in the Mandali hall. And after they entered the Mandali hall, Baba asked Baba to take Ramchandra away for a walk. And after he had left the room, Baba told Gunatai, that is my mother, that Gadekar is going to come to me very soon. What must have been on her heart? So she absorbed this blow. And when they were leaving Meherabad in the evening, Baba himself came out of the Mandali hall along with all the Mandali. And they had hired a car to come to Meherazad and back. So as they were getting into the car, Baba was also outside the Mandali hall along with all the Mandali. And at that point of time, Baba asked all the Mandali members to shout very loudly, Bhakt Shiromani Gadekar Sahib ki Jai, which means, hail to the crown jewel amongst the devotees of the Lord. So this was the shout when the sun was setting on that day. And they got into the car and they came back to Poona. Thereafter, after a few weeks, his condition became worse. And doctors insisted that he should take medicine. But he would take medicine and remember Baba. And around that time, he wrote a letter to Baba that, why all this suffering to me? Have I done any sin during the past life? I wanted to do your work, but why? Why so much? If there were no pain, I would have done so much of work for you. And I have been doing that to the best of my abilities through my entire life. And why this suffering, tremendous suffering for me? And Baba wrote back. And what did the ancient one write? Meherazad, Ahmednagar, February 1st, 1959. My dear Gadekar Sahib, Baba took great interest in hearing the contents of your letter of 28th ultimo. 28th of previous month he had written a letter to Baba telling all the things. Baba knows how you have taken and are taking great pains to spread your beloved Baba's message of love and truth in Poona and elsewhere. Wherever you are posted, all this labor of love will never and cannot go in vain. Baba also knows how much pain and discomfort you are undergoing at present due to swollen glands. All this pain should never be taken by you as, quote, paying for your sins, unquote. No, it is to give you greater opportunity to remember Baba more frequently. Baba wants you to bear the pain patiently in loving him the more. Baba says that he is well pleased with your efforts, your deep love for him, your unfailing support and your cooperation with Baba lovers at all times and under every situation, and this time under severe physical strain and discomfort. Baba feels very proud of having such lovers. Now Baba wants you to concentrate your attention on loving him more. So do this. Remember Baba more and much more. Repeat Baba's name silently as often as you can do and remain engrossed in your love and devotion for the beloved of all hearts, Meher Baba. Stop worrying about Digambar, Tai and or Gunatai. Tai is my sister. Let them now worry about your comforts and health. You have had enough worries for them in the past. Give them a chance to give their share and let them play their parts, worrying for this and that and them. Get seriously engrossed in him, his and his work. This is the time for you to do this. Now is the time for you to feel completely relaxed from the routine worries and to get engrossed in the joy and the peace that prevail when one shares Baba's, quote, pleasure and happiness, unquote, with other fellow beings, relations, neighbors, friends and all the rest. Baba sends his very dear love to his very dear Tukaram. That's the title he had given to my father, Tukaram. And to Gunatai, Tai and Digambar, yours lovingly, Erich. And thereafter, he refused sedatives because the sedatives would induce him to sleep, and that would be a break in repetition of Baba's name, and suffered. And on the 7th of March 1959, which was a most auspicious day for the Hindus, being the day of the Lord Shiva, Baba visited the house where he was ailing, and he went into the room where he was lying in the bed. And he tried to get up Ramchandra. Then Baba stopped him and he himself went near the bed. And Gunatai, my mother, was there by the bedside. And Baba said that today is Mahashivratri, the day of Lord Shiva. And Ramchandra, Lord Shiva is standing before you today. So take his darshan. And then he asked my mother to leave that room. And in that room, only Baba and Ramchandra were there. And after a few minutes, Baba left. And thereafter, on the 12th of March 1959, after 10 minutes past midnight of the 11th, that is 10 minutes of the beginning of 12th March, he dropped his body by taking Baba's name. In other words, repetition of Baba's name and his breath stopped at the same time. And this news was conveyed to Baba. And Baba had already instructed my mother that in case of such eventuality, you go ahead with the religious ceremonies, but preserve the ashes. And the ashes were preserved by her. And in April, Baba asked her to come to Meherabad. And there she went with the ashes. And Baba took the sandalwood box containing the ashes in his own hands. The pit was already dug, and all the Mandali were there. There was Adi, there was Padri, there was Pendu, there was Vishnu Master, there was Kutumba Shastri. And all of them were there. And with his own hands, Baba placed that box containing the ashes there in the pit. And with his own hands, he put flowers on that. And then he came out. And he told all the Mandali who were surrounding the pit that you go there one by one, put flowers on the box, and bow down there. So accordingly, each one of them went there and put the flowers and bowed down and came out. And they were standing around Baba. At that time, Baba looked at them and he said, Gadekar is free. He will not take birth again for a long time. He is very fortunate that I, with my own hands, have placed the box containing the last remains of one of my dear ones in the grave. He will only come back after 700 years when I return as the next avatar. And that is the story, my dear brothers and sisters, of the crown jewel. Jai Baba. Jai Baba.